following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
We are back. Bronx Roots. Michael Preminger, David Hubler, and me, Ralph Tyko, the weak link of it all. It's the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and Michael and David are here, and I'm delighted. How are you guys?
Just fine. All is
doing well.
David, we talked about Penny Marshall on an earlier show.
And last week here, yes.
Last week, of course. And why don't you, we didn't talk last week about her movie that she produced.
We didn't? I'm surprised. Well, she did several movies, but of course the one that always two stand out. And Mike, come on, help me with this. One was I'll never remember the
League
baseball.
of Their Own.
League of Their Own. Thank you. And the other one was Big. About again with Tom Hanks.
Right. And then she did Awakenings.
Oh, that's right, of course, with Robin Williams.
And De Niro.
That's right.
Yeah,
I forgot that.
That was a terrific movie.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Like 5 or 6, but those 3 are certainly at the top.
Yes, I would say so. Yeah. I think most directors would be happy to be remembered for one. And she, you know, and she wasn't really, she didn't set out to be a film director at all.
No, I think she was just a performer at first.
Well, Gary, her brother, got her into the business.
Right.
He got her a spot on, wasn't it Happy Days? She got no, it was on
The Odd Couple.
The Odd Couple. Right.
Oh, yes.
She played the secretary for
Klugman's secretary.
Right, and she had that crazy laugh, and the rest, as they say, is history, I guess.
Yeah. And she was on a
The
show.
Odd Couple is one of the few TV shows made from a movie that I think was better than the movie.
Well, it was from the play originally.
Yes, in the play, Neil Simon. But I think the TV show was superb. And
it was.
Episode. There's such dry humor, and I miss those guys.
Jack Klugman, and Michael. What's his name? A wonderful actor.
Tony Randall,
right? Who was also.
And how about the actors that were in the movie?
Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon.
What great performance!
Most people don't remember Tony Randall it was on a TV series called Mr. Peepers with Wally Cox. They did that way back.
I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Remember this name, Marion Lorne.
Sure, the fidgety lady.
Oh my gosh.
She was terrific.
Back in the Our Miss Brooks days.
No, she wasn't on Our Miss Brooks.
No, but back in the Our Miss Brooks days.
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't heard anyone mention Mr. Peepers. Always people talk about sitcoms back then, but rarely mention. Oh, thanks for mentioning me.
Yeah, I liked that show so much, and they were both.
Here's a bit of trivia: Wally Cox was a bosom buddy friend.
Yep, Marlon Brando. Right, they roomed together.
Supposedly, they were roommates.
Yeah, and when they were at the Actors Studio.
Wow.
Yeah, and sadly, Cox died quite young. I don't recall the reason for his death, but he died quite young. And then Tony Randall had a long, very diversified career. One of my favorite things he ever did was The 7 Faces of Dr. Lau.
Oh, right.
have it. I haven't watched it in a while, but I have it recorded on my DVR. I really keep meaning to do it because they may not even play it anymore because he actually plays an Asian on the and that's verboten these days. You can't do that sort of thing.
Right.
Oh no,
right.
no.
Yeah.
No.
Do you know what I remember about Tony Randall? I think he was in his 70s when his wife conceived, and they
really
talked about that for a long time. The advantages and disadvantages for the kid.
Having a father who's 80,
bunker full of talent.
Yeah. But it's my understanding that he came out as gay. Tony Randall.
I think, and I'm not. He so often played a character who seemed to be leaning that way.
Yes, true.
That I also thought, oh, this guy's gay. He'd come on the Tonight Show and he was always, you couldn't smoke when he was on.
Oh.
He was immaculately dressed. He was just
Well, I don't know. I just remember that. But anyway, I always liked him as an actor. He and especially on The Odd Couple, he was terrific.
Wally Cox I just looked it up, was 49 only.
Did it say what he died from?
It says heart attack.
Oh, wow.
Oh, indeed.
Because he certainly wasn't. If Marlon Brando had died of a heart attack at 49, you might have said, "Oh wow, look at all the acting and running around, moving, things he did." With
what didn't do.
But for Wally Cox, he always played this mild-mannered, meeky sort of guy. Another one who was in that mold that I remember and always enjoyed was Arnold Stang.
Oh, sure.
Yes. Stinky on Abbott and Costello.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
What's his name? Blinky?
Stinky? Yeah. He was a character. You remember when the TV show was on, Mr. Fields was on? Well, Arnold Stang played Stinky.
Yeah, he wore short pants and he dressed like a little, what do you call it, like a sailor suit kind of thing a lot. And
was that Arnold Stang? Or was
yeah.
It was? Oh.
He also was famous for his chunky chocolate commercial.
Oh, yeah.
What a chunk of chocolate.
Yeah, and then there was another commercial along those lines, Mars Bar. I want a Mars Bar.
But that doesn't sound like Arnold Stang.
That doesn't sound like Arnold, but it brought to chocolate commercials.
Oh, yeah. Of course, now there's no such thing on TV as a commercial for what used to be a nickel candy bar. Now for Christmas, you see, apparently so, I have no way of knowing, but everyone is buying their spouse a brand new car and wrapping it in a ribbon. I mean, it's so preposterous. I mean, just like that.
I saw an ad for a new car for Christmas, and this guy says, "Here, honey, you choose," or whatever. 2 identical SUVs, one red and one blue. And she goes, "Oh, I love this one. It's the red one." He wanted the red one and what have you. But nice gift. 2 brand new cars for you.
Yeah, to choose.
That's so realistic in today.
Yeah, I know. The one that I love, which is also an automobile-oriented car, is and I used this when I wrote a script for one of our blog posts about the theme of this blog post was should employees give their bosses Christmas presents? A lot of companies absolutely do not allow it, and others sort of frown on it, and and others say, well, if it's $10 or something small. But anyway, the commercial has these office workers giving their boss floor mats for his car. And he's overjoyed. I mean, he's got these floor mats for his car. What a thoughtful gift. What I miss, though, I really do, I miss all the commercials for the Chia Pets. I haven't seen a Chia Pet commercial now in a couple of years, and it's sort of disappointing.
Yes.
I have almost a whole set. I'd like to get the last couple of Chia Pets.
We were talking about humor and what have you in the 50s and TV shows, and his name escapes me. I wanted to ask you about the guy with the mustache who was way ahead of his time.
Oh, Ernie Kovacs, sure.
Ernie Kovacs, married to this tall, lanky Chipperillo.
Well, he's married to Edie Adams.
Edie Adams, the singer. Yeah.
She, it was a little bit before my time. I didn't get to see much of him.
Oh,
what was his humor like, and was he indeed ahead of his time?
Yes, but Mike, go ahead, tell it. You. Well, I don't know. I as much about as I do, and that he. I don't know. He had the gorilla trio, the Nairobi trio, right? With guys dressed up in gorilla outfits.
Yeah, and they would play these drums and then one gorilla would turn and clonk the other gorilla on the head like it was the end of the song, like on his head, and they acted mechanically like they were, those.
Right.
And then he had Percy Dove Tonsils, who would recite poetry from his chair. Remember?
Yes.
And it was like a half-hour show, and there were skits the whole half hour, and they were hilarious. And the interesting thing, by today's standards, he did it all live, just like Sid Caesar did his show live. I mean, what comic would dare do a half hour live on TV these days? I don't know. I don't know of any personally, of course. But,
I think all of those shows were live in those days.
Yeah, they were, of course. Yeah.
The variety shows, anyway.
Yeah, sure.
And Kovacs was just so ahead of his time with what he did with the camera and just the technical end of it. Can you imagine years later?
I remember him doing a thing in the bathtub. And
yes. I was not going to say, but I don't remember what it was. But you're right, in the bathtub. Good memory.
And, boy, imagine how great those people were to have gotten the gig on TV, because all of the competition, you had Groucho Marx, you had Show of Shows, Sid Caesar. These guys were terrifically talented.
Well, also, you couldn't pass up when you say terrifically talented. You could not omit Bob and Ray.
Yes.
Bob and Ray had a half-hour show on N.B.C. TV in New York. And they too they were on the radio, of course, for a number of years. And then they went to TV. And I loved that they used to do this skit. It took off on, what's her name, the famous chef who was on TV all the time. The woman.
Julia Childs.
Julia Childs, right. And it was Ray Goulding, the heavier set of the two. And all you would see, the camera shot was looking through her window, which was half open. There was a shade down the top half, and you saw these hairy arms. And his staccato speech, like Julia Childs doing this recipe, and it was hilarious. They did all sorts of, and they too were really pushed the envelope. They did things that no one had ever done before. Man on the street interviews, their correspondents, Wally Ballou, who was always
yes.
And you know what was great about that? It was they switched over to Wally Ballou, their correspondent, and it always started just a tick late, so it always came out as "Lay Ballou here," and you missed the wah part. I love the way they did that all the time, "Lay Ballou here."
I feel I don't know what the right word is. I don't remember the TV show.
Well, yeah.
It's so funny. I loved that they would just take the most mundane situation and go with it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The interview.
Hey, we have to play some credence to Steve Allen. You talk about a multi-talented mother. This guy wrote books, wrote music.
Oh yeah, he wrote a lot of
incredibly good.
Multi-talented. Yep. Yeah.
Timing. It made me think of it when you mentioned Men on the Street. So what was it?
Well, that's where he had Tom Poston and Don Knotts and a couple of one or two others on the street. But I never thought of Steve Allen as a pure comedian. I thought of more of him as an entertainer and a host, a TV host. Played the piano, did these things, but the sketch that he did, it was mostly the supporting cast that were really funny. But one thing I have to mention before we move from Bob and Ray, they did one of the great all-time great TV commercial series when they played Bert and Harry Peel, the Peel brothers, on the beer commercials. Peel's Beer, right. And people watched those commercials just because it was Bob and Ray. A lot of people were not really interested in buying beer, but they loved the commercials.
Was it my imagination? I was just coming into being old enough to drink. New York had some crappy beers. I mean, Knickerbocker.
There you go.
How
do you like that?
That was one.
Now we're getting controversial.
Yeah, really. Mm-hmm.
It just the beers today. I don't remember Coors being around in those days.
It wasn't.
No.
In fact, Coors didn't come east for many, many years, even though I remember people saying, wait till you go out to like California where they have Coors beer. It's a great beer. They don't sell it in the east, though. It all comes out of the Rocky Mountains.
It was in Colorado where they
was made. Coors, Colorado. They even have their own town.
But I think it was Adolph Coors who picked a bad name. But Adolph...
I think a number of those brewery masters were Adolphs.
Yeah, it's very...
it used to be a fairly common German name.
Yeah.
Until...
Yeah, right.
It reminds me of Dolph Shays. Who,
sure.
Your NYU
that's right.
Patriot.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and Dewitt Clinton, too, don't forget.
Did not know that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
One of the most illustrious of our alumni. He used to actually come back when Syracuse would come into the Garden and play, and he'd come up to the gym and shoot around and talk to the students. And very, very popular.
Did you meet him?
I remember his...
What's that, Mike?
Did you meet him?
No, I didn't. Did.
Was he at NYU before you?
Oh, yes. Yeah, way before me. But, it's interesting. He was a very bright guy. He graduated at NYU. He was just turning about 17.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, you can look it up. Yeah. As Casey used to say.
And then he had a kid that played at Syracuse, Danny Shays.
Yes.
That's
and
right.
he had a long career in the NBA, too.
Right. And he used to joke, you know, he was a kind of a run-of-the-mill good player, but not a superstar like his dad. I think he made more money in 1 month playing NBA ball than his dad made in his entire career.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised.
And now a guy would make more money in a quarter of a game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that includes baseball too. I mean, salaries are just incredible nowadays.
Oh, it really, I'm sure you guys have talked about it, but it really is so stupid.
I know. I have a bunch of Robin Ray scripts from their book that I read every once in a while.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's called From Approximately Coast to Coast. It's a Bob and Ray show. I mean, see, that just goes to show. Just a couple of words there. They were masters of that.
Right, and it was the timing too, like you say.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and the fact that it was dry humor.
That
didn't have
was
to resort to profanity. There was just a different time. And
well, they did great takeoffs on things. Like the radio was famous too for these hospital dramas and things. And I just opened this page, and the script is Ray Sauce. And now the United States Mint, one of the nation's leading producers of fine new money, presents another dramatic story from the files of Emergency Ward. Organ, dramatic theme. And then it goes on. They did such wonderful takeoffs on everything like that.
Makers of fine new money.
Fine new money, yes. Yeah, and Wally Ballou visits a paperclip factory.
Now, I'm going to throw one more radio group in, a twosome, the Bickersons.
Yeah.
Did you guys enjoy them at all?
I
thought they did great stuff.
Where was I don't recall them at all.
The Bickersons were Francis Langford.
Yes.
And Wally Cox. No,
no,
Wally Ballou.
Marlon Brando.
And Marlon Brando. That's right. It was a couple that was always arguing or bickering with each other.
Right. Marge, he'd say, Marge, the cat, he'd be fixing the car and using the cat as a drop rag. Basically.
Was that a TV show?
No,
it was on the radio. Yeah,
it was on the radio.
Yeah.
And it just parodied a married couple who had been together for many, many years. And,
it ran from 46 to 51.
Oh, are you looking it up?
Yeah, I just looked it up. Yeah.
Donna Michi and Francis
Donna
Langford.
Michi, yes.
Donna Michi, yes. Okay, yeah.
What a wonderful voice he had.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. But it doesn't say that it was. They don't say it did it on TV. They just said it looks like it was just strictly radio.
Yeah, it says the Bickersons radio show. That's what. Interesting.
Michael, you were a page at N.B.C. Am I correct?
Yes, I was.
Okay. It was a day when announcers like Don Pardo and others were almost characters of their own. They, the Ed McMahons of their time. Did you get to know any of the announcers that?
No, I think we mentioned before. I blew it big time because I didn't try to meet these people, and and also the people who were in the control rooms, and as we've talked about, these shows were live, and what an opportunity I missed by not saying, hey, can I stand in the back of the control room and watch you guys work, or try to meet the announcers. The only guy I became friendly was Red the Elevator Man. That shows you where my brain was. Instead of going for the executives or the talent, I became friendly with the Elevator Man.
You once told me a funny story, and I don't want to step on it and give it away, but it dealt with one of the early TV shows, not early, but one of the big hits, that show called Flipper. Do you remember that story?
No.
The Dolphin?
No. Yeah, the Dolphin. Yeah. Mike was telling me one time, I'll recall it for you. Mike was telling me one time about, he'd take these tours around. These people come into Rockefeller Center and take them. And he told me one time, these people had no concept of what TV was like. So somebody once asked them, is this where they film Flipper? In the middle of Rockefeller Center. Do you remember that? I always remember that story because it seems so typical of your Midwestern or Southern visitor to New York who wants to see where they film Flipper.
That one I don't remember, but thank you for recalling it, because you're right. What the people would ask is Doc Severinsen really a doctor? We'd stop and you could look over through a glass from a floor above to the tapings or the rehearsals. There was a soap opera, The Doctors. I think it was called. Most of them are about doctors, but I think this was called The Doctors. And one out of every two tours, somebody. Are they really doctors? Are they really? I don't know if I made this up. Somebody once said, I'm not feeling well. Can I go see one of the doctors? I said, no, they're not. People would ask, the silliest questions. But the tour was fun. Did I ever mention how, I did, that one of the last parts of the tour was showing, this shows you how long ago this was. This was in the mid-'60s. So there was still memories of radio, and they would show the booth where they would recreate or create sounds like horses. They would take coconuts and just hit them half of a coconut.
Oh, yes. Sound effects. Yeah.
Yes, a sheet of aluminum would be for like lightning. They would.
Right. By the way, Don Pardo had a beautiful daughter who was she was a page.
Oh.
And
as for you.
She's pretty.
You know who else had a great, beautiful daughter, talking about the old days of TV? The Merry Mailman. Do you remember that show, kid show on TV?
I do. And that woman...
Yes.
She married a football player.
She married Lance...
Rensel.
Oh, Lance...
Yeah, right.
Oh, Lance Rensel.
Yeah.
Had some problems with...
that was Joey Heatherton.
Or whatever.
Joey Heatherton.
She was beautiful. And the Merry Mailman was... Boy, you guys have great memories.
Ray Heatherton.
Ray Heatherton, right?
Heatherton. Wow.
Did you know he was a band singer?
No. I know he came out and sang the theme song, I am Merry Mailman.
He was a band singer.
Oh, yeah.
Now, here's how the small world this is. When I moved into where I live now in this complex, one of the tenants was, drum roll please,
Boom.
What's her first name? No,
Joey Heatherton.
Joey Heatherton.
Yeah.
Yeah, she lives in your building?
Not anymore.
Oh.
But you could have stood next to her and not recognized her. I mean,
really?
Yeah. Didn't look like the Joey Heatherton that many a male would remember.
Yes. She was on something. What was it? It's a commercial that she did that with the long legs. I can't remember.
But another great afternoon.
Michael, when you first get hired as a page, do they kind of have a script that you learn? How does that work?
They do. And it's as you stop in different parts of the building, you do this. You do the words from the script.
Oh, okay. And
the first one of the first things was there was a display of Julie Harris. Is that her first name, Julie Harris?
What, the actress who died a couple of years ago, Julie Harris, yeah.
Right. And she had been on like a Hallmark show where she was a queen, and she aged from young to old, and it had the makeup and the mask that she wore, and that was the first. I remember that was the first thing that we talk about. And
now, here's what I want to ask you, Michael: is the script more of an outline, or did they want you to stick by it, or
I would say it was more of an outline. I don't think you had to go word for word, but I honestly don't remember. But I've also mentioned before where they were like 55-minute tours, and mine was usually an hour and a half because I just played. I just ad-libbed and played around.
And had fun with it.
Ralph, are you interested in flying for it?
Well, one of the first routines I ever did was about being a page. And now I don't... and I do remember the beginning where I would say, I would stop by the Julie Harris thing, or you'd walk down the hall and there'd be pictures of Jack Benny and huge pictures. And I would say, does anyone have any questions? Don't be afraid to ask about anything that you want. I would go, yes, sir. Mickey Mantle batted .356 in 1965. I would just go off because they would ask anything. But I don't remember what else I would do. But I did a whole routine about it. But the script, as I say, I would probably guess that most people stayed pretty close to exactly what it was.
How was it that you got the job in the first place?
Oh, it was nothing. It was a friend of mine who was working there and got me an interview or whatever in the personnel department. This was before they were human resources. Mm-hmm. And I got the job. It was not a big deal. The pay was it was something like $69 a week or something. It was absurd.
Right. Well, that's.
I remember having to buy a sardine sandwich
a week. You were making a good living making a couple of hundred a week back then.
Oh yeah, it was nothing. I remember I would go into his restaurant in the ground floor of 30 Rockefeller, in 30 Rock, order a sardine sandwich, and I had to count the sardines, because if I went over a certain amount, then I'd have to pay extra. It was just, I really had to be very careful. I could only have 3 sardines per sandwich.
Wow. Why don't you bring your own can and just buy the bread?
Right. No, I'm kidding. But it was...
Was it that got you into comedy when you saw how you could control the crowd?
It is a big part of how I got into comedy.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, but I hate telling this story, Bill Cosby, you remember him, the guy who...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a number.
He was going to host the Tonight Show, and they had an ad in the paper for, not an ad, it was an article that he was going to hold open auditions for comedians to be on the Tonight Show. And like an idiot, I said, oh, I want to do that. And so I finally I think I told you the story. I got there very early. They were holding it at, I don't know, I forgot where it was the auditions were held. I got there very, very, very early, and you pick a number like a bakery, and I was number 9. I said, oh, great. And that was it. I thought 9 people, that's a few. So I went to get a cup of coffee because they weren't starting it. I came back, there were over 200 people online.
Wow.
But I got into the office. They stopped after like number 11.
Ooh.
And the routine I did was about being a page. And I remember Cosby and 2 other people saying, "Oh, that's very good. That's very nice the way you did it." Anyway, but then the fact that I was a page, I couldn't be on the show, or they asked, "Did I have a second routine?" And I said no, and they said, "Well, maybe you're not really ready," which I wasn't. But I got that far.
Wow.
Okay, now, let me ask you, what was the second routine that you eventually came up with?
I never did that routine on TV.
No, but I don't. But the second routine you wrote.
Oh, the second was I did. I don't remember. Was about the Russians coming to the United States and getting caught on the. With the toll booth. That was part of it. And I forgot what else. I forget what else I did on that first time. It might have been about McDonald's, but that might have been the next time.
Now, today when a comedian breaks in, they have open mics and what have you. Mm-hmm. How was it for you breaking in? How did you take that first step?
Oh, I think I hate to be repeating some of the things we've talked about.
No, we get, when you tell stories, you have different memories each time you tell them.
I went to Greenwich Village.
And you haven't.
I don't know. There was a place called the Champagne Gallery. Sounds very, very lovely. The Champagne Gallery. It was down the stairs, down a flight of stairs, into a dark room. Sounds like a film noir.
Yes.
A dark room where there were people sitting, and next to them, their shadows were sitting in separate chairs. That's how film noir it was. Their shadows had their own chairs. And there were femme fatales in the back. And
femme fatale, great word.
People with long hair, just covering one eye, and those were the guys, not the girls. I don't know. No, it was just I walked around. Somehow I found this place. I had never performed anywhere, and I walked down this flight of stairs and watched some really bad comedians and some very good ones. And it took me like 5 weeks of going there, not every day, like once a week, before I asked the guy if I could perform. And he said, yeah. And I did a routine about, thanks to, remember I mentioned Red the elevator operator?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did a routine about going to elevator school. Because you don't just become an elevator operator. I mean, people had the wrong idea. You had to go, and it was an 8-week course, and you had to learn how to be an elevator operator, and it went over very well.
Nice.
Nice. That's where I met David Brenner at that club. And I eventually moved. There was another club that was where I first saw Bette Midler.
Whoa.
That was all in the Village. And then somehow I got to the Improv. And I was there for like easily a month and a half or two. I would go and was deathly afraid to go on stage because some of these guys were pretty polished or very polished. And I finally did get on one night about 2:30 and did well enough to become a regular, even though I was more of a regular after 2 in the morning. Right?
But it's a regular
when I
time.
went on 2 o'clock in the morning. So I've always been able to do well with an audience of like 10 people. More than 10 I get nervous, but 10 people I'm very good. And that's my training.
Okay.
And it also helps in the background if you hear the bakery man coming in. Because they would bring bagels in while I was on stage. They would actually be putting up chairs on the tables while I was performing.
Oh, God.
I see it. That's how would you like to learn how to perform well?
Yeah, wow.
Excuse me, clunk chair. Oh, thanks. Okay. Or
and then I'm sure
going,
slowly but surely you started getting better times.
Yes. Because while I was on, at first you would hear like the waitresses or the other comics, I'll meet you at so-and-so, you want to get coffee? And I'm going, hi, I'm still, or they'd yell at me, come on, let's go, we're going for coffee. And then they'd make fun of me because I didn't go right away. I say, come on, I've been waiting now for 6 hours.
To get up, yeah.
To get up. You guys were on earlier. Now's my chance. Don't tell me I'm being selfish by not going for coffee right now. Can I do my 15 minutes in front of 7 people, please? But eventually I got better times, yeah. Eventually I moved up to 1:30.
I want to apologize to you, Michael, because last week you told a story about Penny Marshall's friend, and you were hanging with them. And and the woman said, I saw you on Carson. You weren't very good. And when you said that, I had this nervous laughter. If you play it back, it was just that, nervous laughter, and I didn't get to empathize with you a little bit about what a bitchy statement that was.
Oh, horrible. Yeah, no, thank you very much for your thought. Thank you.
Yeah,
it was terrible. It was terrible.
Right, and I made it sound like, it was a joke, but no, being a former comedian myself, never reached your stature, I could well imagine you're on the fucking Tonight Show, and this woman has a right to criticize or say anything negative instead of saying, oh my God, you're on the Tonight Show, that's terrific, you know.
No. There are a lot of people, there are people like that.
There are, and the story that comes to mind about that is George Case III. His dad, he's on this network, and we have a show, and he tells the story. His dad was famous major leaguer, really solid major leaguer, and George, as a kid, goes out to play Little League ball. And his father's at the game, and some jerk yells out to a kid, 10-year-old kid, says, "You'll never be what your dad was."
Oh!
And George kind of jokes about it, and his dad takes him home and says, "Listen, you're my son. I don't care. Don't listen to anybody. If you never play baseball, blah, blah, blah." Tells him all that, as a good dad would do. But how shocking. What a horrible thing to hear.
Yeah, it was awful.
And
whoa.
What you heard is akin to that. People don't realize, not just with entertainers, words kill. Words have a meaning.
Here's one
more than one. What?
Yeah. Sometimes
I was at the.
You're smart like you, more than one, but not for me.
I was at the
I get
Atlanta.
one meeting a day. I'm happy.
How was this when I was at the Atlanta Playboy Club, and the singers was first, and then I go on, and the singer was finishing her last song, and just about at the end, and I'm waiting in the back, and a guy comes up to me, and he goes, "Weren't you just on the Tonight Show?" And I went, "Yeah." And without any words, he took his hand. I don't know how to describe this, but his hand gesture meant, you were not that great.
Like wiggling his hand. That's awful.
As they're going, and now the comedy of. So now I have to go on stage, and in my mind is this guy having just said, so you have to. Sometimes you just have to move past it real fast.
Everybody's a critic.
Everybody's a critic, right? Exactly.
And that's the way it is in life. It parallels it. You hear things, you get bum breaks. You got to move on.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's how true. How true. How it goes back to. It always makes me think of not always, but in school. I'll ask you guys: did you ever have a teacher who was critical in a bad way toward you?
Oh yeah.
No, my 9th grade math teacher was terrible to me. Of course, I was no good in the class. I didn't know a thing. I didn't understand what in the world was going on. It was algebra, and we would have these sort of verbal spats between the two of us. And I remember the last time I ran into him. You'll remember this, Mike, because you're in the book. Remember we had those blue autograph books, seniors. You would take them around, and everybody would sign a page. Your students.
I have those books.
Yes.
I have them.
I do too. I still have it. So I went into this math teacher with another friend. I forget. We were traveling around together through the school, and hey, teacher looks up at the two of us and he says, "Well, I'll sign his, but I won't sign yours," meaning me. And so I said, "Well, I didn't ask you to sign mine." That's how it went the whole year. My mother had to come to school numerous times that season, to beg this guy not to fail me. I wouldn't have gone to, I don't think I would have even gotten into Clinton if they'd failed me in math.
I won't sign yours?
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
That's the worst story I've ever heard. Oh, my God.
I know.
Talk about deflate. Oh, that's insane.
Yeah. Well, I think the guy was a disgruntled mathematician or something.
He must have been. I mean, that's crazy.
I mean, he hated teaching. I'm sure of it. But a lot of those guys came out of the army, out of the service after, like Korea, or the older ones out of World War II. And the only job they could find that was steady was teaching. And I think a number of them really hated it, and I think he was one of them. And then he hated me as number two.
They were incredibly underpaid in those days.
Well, everybody was, if you think about it. But but that's true. But I just think there were teachers there that had no business dealing with young people. That's all.
Oh, that's for sure. But not to say to somebody, I'm not going to sign. Whoa!
Your retort was beautiful. I didn't ask you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's right. Good for you.
And to this day, he hasn't signed it, I must tell you.
Good for you.
I learned something that you guys had to take a test to get into your high school.
No, we didn't. No. I was just,
I
was just kidding around saying, that's how bad it was.
But you had to take a test to get out of high school.
That's right. Yeah, sure. We all did.
The Regents, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Imagine you had to take a test to get out.
I remember.
There are some schools in New York. Stuyvesant was one. Bronx Science.
But they've changed them all. They've changed them.
Did I lose you?
Now, everybody gets in there. Now, you have to pay tuition, and there's the door. Go on in.
Even with, you mean in Stuyvesant and those schools now? Are they tuition schools?
Hello?
David?
Yeah. I don't know what happened.
Something's cutting off.
I think the producer up in is telling us it's time to quit.
Right. Divine intervention.
Yeah. The man up in the booth is saying.
Yeah. Right.
The man up in the booth.
And this is, check it out, in 2019, this is about as much divine intervention as we're going to get.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We blacked out again.
Yeah. All right. Let's call it a week. We'll be back next week.
Oh, listen. Yeah, I won't be. I won't be here next week. I forgot to tell you. I can't be in. Yeah. So you two can carry on, and you can talk about
me. We will.
Okay.
Talk about you. Okay.
Please don't talk about me when I'm gone.
Okay.
Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year. Yes, you too.
Be well.
Right.
We'll talk next week. Thank you for listening, everybody. The show is Bronx Roots. David Hubler, Michael Preminger, Ralph Tyko, Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. It was fun as usual. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Adios. This has been a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.